school has gone above and beyond to make sure he has his own restroom, yet he is still using the girls. They said, looks like it's going to be a long year. And then other parents, started saying this half-baked maggot, let's whoop his ass until he quits coming to school. Another one suggested getting a good sharp knife. And these are parents of 7th grade students.
Holy Christ, man. That's fucking crazy.
So
what state is this?
This was in Oklahoma. So
well,
the school district,
that figures. Time to move out of Oklahoma. We don't like your kind here.
Yeah. Superintendent, Rick Bean had to close the school for 2 days now as the, Facebook group is taken down.
Jesus.
And yeah, I mean, it's just now you're getting the LGBTQ rights supporters involved, obviously. So they're planning a demonstration at the school. So the school may be closed longer.
Good job, dummies. I mean,
it's just like now this has exploded into a whole nother issue with the bathroom bill. And
yeah,
that was introduced back in January, I believe. Right. I somewhere around that line, but it's just, like I said, it's a terrible thing and a terrible situation, but now it's going to blow up to a matter of free speech and who can say what and rights and civil liberties.
Well, you can't say about a kid that, I don't think you can say about a kid that we should get a knife. I think that
should never be spoken.
That's
whether you agree or disagree with somebody, that's horrific.
Yeah, like if somebody wrote in the Facebook group, I don't think this person should be allowed to use the bathrooms. Like, I'm upset about this. Like, that's different. Like, that's your opinion.
But calling them a maggot and threatening to beat them after school and so they won't come back and stab them.
That's weird.
Yeah,
for a transgender.
That's terrible.
There's only one transgender in the school, right? Just this one person?
Yeah, just this one. And they had delegated for them to have their own bathroom, but they still had used the women's room. And
just let them use the women's room.
It doesn't really affect anything in my eyes, but
I mean,
you're talking about going to the bathroom, It's sad that it came to anything like this, but this is my point. So when you have one, real news story out there where, someone's claiming something, that's what made me bring this up, because you said before, people might think I'm being real, but really it's just an act, and it's just, but you get things like this and you don't know what's a real threat or what's people just acting up or trying to be a character or portraying something. So if they don't take this seriously, the kid could have gotten hurt. The parents could have actually instigated real world violence and not just made it, they were no longer idle threats.
It's weird. It's like
I could have acted on it.
I've been watching a lot of Ben Shapiro, and like he really treats it, down to the T. Like, you are not a girl, you're not a man. Like, so if you're like, I was watching him on this whatever debate that he had on this TV show. I don't know if you've seen this before, but there was a transgender there. It was a guy. He's a girl now, dressed up like a woman. He's because she is a woman or whatever. But Ben's sitting next to her, and at some point, he just doesn't believe. He's like, no, this is like a mental illness, just like, schizophrenia or something like that, And they're saying, Ben, you don't care about these people. You're disgusting. And he's like, no, I do care about them. My uncle or grandfather, heard voices and stuff, and they had to give him lithium and and eventually he was cured. Like, I didn't hate him because he had a disease or he had a mental illness. I cared about him, so I wanted him to get better. But they took that as Ben being just this nasty, bigoted hater. And it's like, I know it sounds cold, but Ben Shapiro is just very like, no, I'm going to call you a man because you're a man, so I'm going to call you a man. But that's very rude, obviously, to them and everything. And so, like,
yeah, it is a bit. I don't want to say snobbish,
like,
but you
to
are
me,
looking down
I
on
would,
somebody's decisions.
Here's the thing. Here's the telling tale. He's very polite when he says it. It's just kind of snide. He's a little snarky shit. Is kind of what Ben Shapiro can be. But he's like, sir, I'm gonna do that. He called her sir or whatever, and then she lost her mind, and then she put her hands on him around his neck and was like, if you do that again, I'm gonna hurt you in the parking lot. But it's like,
yeah, and see, right there, you invalidated every argument that you've fought for this entire time. Once you resort to violence, you've lost.
Yeah, and it's like that, but that's what they do. Like, so, like, there's like a weird thing, like a victimizing, but it's like, here's Ben, like, just, so, like, I get it. Like, if I was Ben Shapiro, I'd be a little more like his thing is, I'm not going to play into the charade, that you're a woman. Like, I'm not playing into your mental illness. Everybody else is here patting you on the back. There's something wrong. We need to fix this. or you're going to become one of the 40% to kill themselves like everybody else. But I don't myself want to call it mental illness because I feel like that's a little too insulting for them. It may be a little bit of obviously some kind of mental thing, illness, but I just, I think it's one of those things where most of the other mental illnesses hurt somebody eventually, or like can hurt people, but this can hurt themselves. So as long as you're not hurting anybody else. So this is the one where like you kind of go with it, and people have always kind of, it's possible because the brain is crazy. The brain can think I'm a girl, but you have a guy's body. And like that just happens, just like you can grow 3 hands, like that was a mistake.
You become a prisoner in your own mind and trapped in the wrong body, and it becomes torturous, and that's and I lean less on it being a mental illness and more of like a chemical deficit or disorder. You have the wrong enzymes and hormones, and that in itself. So
a lot of times they'll prove
but
the
when you look at it
hormones
that
are
way,
fine.
is that a clinical?
But no, well they'll find they'll find chromosomes and hormones are woman. So you have chromosomes of a woman, you have hormones of a woman, but you think you're a guy. So it's got to be all up in the brain.
Yeah,
which we usually call mental.
Yeah, which could be defined as an illness, but if there are any type of hormone imbalances, does that make it a clinical issue? Is that an actual illness in the medical sense, not a mental sense? It's a very fine line. But regardless, Ben Shapiro, as you said, he's not pulling any punches. He's not going and following the facade of it, as crude as that sounds. I don't know a better way to
it's weird but he doesn't also have any empathy for them at all to like play a little bit like into it, even if he thinks he's playing into something. Why not just kind of say like okay, I'll call you.
I don't view it as him lacking empathy, because I think he does care. I think he does want these people to be treated and be happy. What I think it is that he can't rationalize these decisions in his mind. I think in his head, all right, there's only 2 genders. There's male and female. You can't prove me wrong. There's only, you're born this way or you're born that way. There is no in between. There is no transitioning. I think in his upbringing and development of life, these experiences, this is, white, this is black, this is up, this is down, and there's no differentiating between either side or case. So he just can't rationalize and decipher in his mind any sort of difference. It does not compute for him. The computer in his brain literally shuts down when you say, well, I was a woman, but now I'm a man, right? I was a man, now I'm a woman.
For other people to understand, it'd be like if somebody was like, hey, I'm a lion, and then you were like, okay, well, tell me this, sir. Lion. You may call me lion. I am a lion. Like, people exist like that. And so if we're in a circle and someone says, I am a lion, and you stop yourself and you go, okay, now would you think that person is crazy, or do you think that they're a lion? Are they a lion? So
and that's the thing too. You made a great point there. You would look at that person and be like, oh wow, they think they're the king of the jungle. But again, at some point, same thing.
I'll go like, if you are telling me straight up, like, that's it, I am a lion. Like, and you're really saying that? I mean, it's one thing if you come after me and say I'm some kind of bigot because I didn't call you a lion, or I didn't realize to call you a lion, then you're fucking crazy. Because I'm sorry, you're not a lion, so I didn't think you were a lion. But if you are just saying, please, I am a lion, and then you're adamant about it eventually, probably in a personal setting, I'll call you a lion. I don't care. Like, fine, okay, you're a lion. If you believe that.
And that's the thing too. I mean, it's all about. And it is
it'll be a deadline in 5 years if you keep up with this mentality. But
pretty much someone's going to.
No, but I mean, like, not someone's going to trophy hunt him. No, I was going to say, no, the person will end up killing themselves because there's something wrong. So I think like, people have to understand, like, I don't necessarily agree 100% with Ben, but from Ben's point of view, he's worried because even though right now he's being told and yelled at that he's some kind of scumbag bigot, he thinks in a few years, well, that person's going to kill themselves, though, if we don't help them. And so it's like, but it's also insulting to that person, like, and also like the mental thing. A lot of the times, the suicide rate is so high, is very high in transgender. A lot of it's probably in their own mind because they're scared to death to come out with this thing because it's so freaky out there. But but part of that might be the mental issue with what's going on. I don't know. But take a look at this. This is just crazy. By the way, this is not what a woman would do. A guy would say this.
The genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems
mildly inappropriate for a political discussion?
No, I know. Well, but wait. To be fair, but to be fair, you're actually being kind of rude.
So everybody like starts yelling at him now, but it's like this girl girl just threatened to beat him up. So like, what if they went in the parking lot and she bashed his head in? It's like, is she really a girl? Because it's not really fair. And then if he hits her back, then that's a hate crime on women.
Yeah, exactly.
Or on transgender people.
That was the issue with. But it was, I think, Strike Force, one of them like that. WC back, they had a transgendered fighter, someone that had fully transitioned. So it was a man, became a woman,
beat the shit out of
women.
women.
They were fighting in the women's division, and they were conquering everybody. And they said that they shouldn't be allowed to fight in the women's division, even though they are a woman now, because they have a different bone structure and body build and mass, and it's an unfair advantage. Controversial, situation. And again, it's all a matter of interpretation and, a lot of input needed there, but
that's horrible. But anyway, to tie up this bathroom thing, what these parents did to this transgender person is fucking terrible. And the thing you got to remember is, I've said this a million times, it's like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, right? So if you are making 1,000 other or 100 other kids uncomfortable that you're in their bathroom, then unfortunately, like, you might have to be the one that takes the hit. Because
and that's what they had given them their own bathroom. It said in the story here. Yeah,
like a private or an open bathroom to anybody, right? Anybody can use this bathroom, and it's a private little bathroom. Like, why not just have that in everywhere? Like, everywhere is required. You can have boys and girls, but you have required to have one bathroom that's private, a private bathroom. That's it. Just have one private bathroom, and you'll be fine, because then that will solve it for everybody. And because then no matter what you are, a fucking hobgoblin or whatever you are, you can go in that bathroom, so it doesn't matter. So that would be perfect, and that would solve it for them. Because
I mean, you see things here, if we'll make him a female, a good sharp knife will do the job really quick.
That's creepy. That's fucking crazy, dude.
Here, you're already worried about the student bullying this individual. Now has got to be ostracized and belittled and threatened by the adults. This is why children tend to grow up to be horrible adults, because they act the way their older role models do.
You're gonna see
behavior.
You're gonna see a Hogwarts soon. You're gonna see a transgender school for kids where they're gonna be, where they can be, where your kid, if it's your kid's transgender, can go to it. I'm telling you right now. You're gonna see that. I'm telling you, you're gonna see a transgender school, which isn't bad, but it's kind of just like, I get it. Like, dude, people, listen, you're not comfortable with being in a bathroom when you feel like you're a guy. I get that. That's terrible, and I totally get that. But I also get that the people that you're in the bathroom of are worried and nervous and feel uncomfortable about you. So that's natural for them to feel uncomfortable. Now, they shouldn't go beating you up. They shouldn't go hating you, and they shouldn't go threatening you or anything like that. But it's natural. If I'm in the bathroom myself and like a girl pops out of nowhere, I don't know, maybe I don't care because I'm a guy. Maybe it's different if you're a girl. If you're a girl and a dude guy's in there, I think that's the major problem. Like iPlague's lesbian, right? She's kind of got a lot of tomboy traits or whatever. If she's not transgender though. She would be in the girls' bathroom, which is even weirder, right? Like, because it's like not weirder, but it's like weird in a way, because it's like, I feel like we separate bathrooms based on genitalia, but also attraction, right? Because we don't want to see like the people that we find attractive like peeing and shitting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel like that's mostly it, because otherwise, who cares? Like, what does it matter? We all know we all do it. So why are the bathrooms separated? So that's really about what it is. Like, it's embarrassing for girls to see like guys, like, and it's embarrassing for many people to see a girl like in the bathroom and doing her stuff. So that's why they're separated. So if you're a lesbian and you're in the girls' bathroom and you're talking to each other and stuff, but you're both doing things in the bathroom, so why, isn't that weird? But then because if I saw like iPlague in the bathroom, that wouldn't bother me. if she was in the boys' bathroom and I was in there or something, seeing her in there wouldn't bother me. And the reason why I can tell you,
not a sexual attraction.
that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. I'm not really embarrassed by it because I'm like, oh, she's just one of the cool. She's like one of the guys to me because she's into girls. So that doesn't even.
Exactly.
It's not. Yeah, it's weird. That's what it is. That's to me mentally. That's what it is. So if a like pretty girl who is straight was to come in the bathroom, and you're like sick or something, and you're like now you're like embarrassed, like shit. Ashley sees me taking a shit, you know.
Even just standing at the urinal when they're walking in, you'd be like, "Oh, this is it's an uncomfortable situation."
I mean, there's some people that don't give a shit. There's some guys that'd be like, "I don't give a fuck. I'll take a shit and then bang her in the mouth," you know. But some people,
yeah, but
anyway,
because you and I view mental illness differently in some angles, especially when it comes down to addiction.
Right. I'm more harsh than I used to be. I'll tell you.
Yeah, you're less compassionate. I'm more. I've dealt with it, with family, myself, with many different types of issues, and I just got this sent to me. 25 people overdosed today in New Haven, Connecticut, in the New Haven Green Park. It says first responders found more than 24 people.
Not enough Narcan there to save them.
Within a 3-hour span this Wednesday morning, so it just happened today. 25 people suffering from apparent overdoses have been transported to local hospitals. The New Haven police are investigating. No, actually. It says even while we were trying to return people to service, meaning they're bringing them to the ambulance, they were stepping over victims on the ground.
Jesus.
New Haven Green is like a big open park. It says the victims, who officials said ranged in age and demographic, were found in groups of 4 to 6. They were vomiting, hallucinating, high blood pressure, shallow breathing, and unconscious states. Victims were given, Narcan as much as possible until they got to the hospital.
That sounds like a poisoning.
And it says officials suspect it may have been synthetic cannabis known as K2 that was likely laced with other substances.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that was somebody. That's right when you started talking. That's not like an overdose. That's someone did that.
It was an overdose in the clinical sense, but not an intentional, like they took too much.
It was a murder.
Somebody poisoned synthetic marijuana.
That's a murder. That sounds like a murder. It sounds like either the person they're playing that knew that they would fuck everyone up, or somebody bought it and then was giving it to those people or selling it to them, not knowing that the person who made it laced it. I mean, it's one of the two. Probably.
Or even at times people lace things trying to make things stronger and to up their product margins. I mean, we knew somebody recently that had passed away due to a heroin overdose, and what had happened was the police wouldn't allow them back into the home until they sent in like a CSI unit, because they found out the heroin was laced with fentanyl, and that's a huge issue right now coming from China. The fentanyl is 80 times stronger than morphine, Joe. 80
Jesus
times.
Christ. There's no need to have that in anything. It's so stupid.
No, because it's used for surgeries, and it's not even a milligram. It's micrograms. It's 1/1000th of a milligram that they use, in hospital settings. And
listen, I mean,
the thing is that if you don't have to sniff it, taste it, inject it, nothing. If you just touch it and some of the oil gets on your fingers, you can die from an overdose. So they had to go through and scan his house before they would let the family back in, because they said if you're going to clean and you touch any of the countertops and there happened to be heroin there, or something, a kitchen table and anything, you would die from an overdose just from touching leftover residue. That's how strong this is.
I got to tell you that, I mean, the fact that this was in weed is very concerning. That is, it should not, like, for anybody out there, people that don't like weed or whatever. I mean, weed is like a cigarette. This is
it's a synthetic weed too. It's not even real marijuana. It's like
who made it?
The stuff they sell at gas stations.
So some random person made it, or?
Well, no, they'd probably purchased the K2, which is it's like you can get it at gas stations. It's not really marijuana.
Yeah,
it gives you a very short, different kind of high, I guess. And they probably loaded it with shit to make you get messed up, and that was the problem.
That's weird, man. That's too bad. That's why weed needs to be legal, so it can be regulated the right way.
Exactly. I mean, that's one of the things that I've said for years. There's so many medical benefits to
But weed is different than heroin. A bunch of guys shoot up heroin and it's laced with something. They die in a grassy knoll. I don't feel as much sympathy for that, because you're literally doing the dumbest thing ever, like sticking a needle into yourself. But I I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I don't want people to get hurt or die either, but I don't like the recklessness of the heroin users around here. So like I'm kind of just like, get the fuck out of here, man. You're leaving needles all over the playgrounds and shit. 'Cause I hope you die. You know, that's kind of how like where I'm at. Like, you know, you're threatening to basically kill children because you're an idiot. So people are crashing cars around here and almost killing people. Like, so from my point of view now, which it used to be different. It used to be just, oh, help everybody, you know. But my point of view now is, I don't want you here. Fuck this. If you want to be an idiot, like either put these people in a fucking facility or something.
And that's the same thing that happened to Demi Lovato as well. The drug dealer that she had in her home apparently was somebody that she had hooked up with, he claims, previously. The drugs that she had used were considered dirty drugs because they were purchased from Mexico and were laced with fentanyl. And this is the same powerful opioid that killed Prince. So it wasn't heroin that she had taken. It was oxycodone. And it's called freebasing. It's basically where you're, putting it on tin foil and you burn it and inhale it.
Yeah.
And she was partying with friends and they saw her get really sick and everybody took off and left her.
That's the dumb. So why do people do that? Like, oh my God, we're scared. Like, call the police. Call somebody. Even if you have to leave, call anyway.
Yeah, call 911 and then get the hell out of there, But the thing is, I've personally been in pain management for the better part of a decade now. And last week when I had to, go for injections to pick up medication, I had to go and I couldn't receive any treatment until I went to the pharmacy and picked up an order of Narcan. And I have to have it at home.
Right. That's weird.
That's crazy. I guess it's a good thing in a sense.
It is a good thing, but it's like, wow. Like, that's how addictive it is.
Because of everything that happened with Demi Lovato and they're trying to push these changes, now they have police officers carrying it in their vest. And, just all these things. I watched a video the other week where a police officer, saw a guy slumped over on the ground when he was, by a Dunkin' Donuts, just on the ground, unconscious.
Yeah.
Saw the symptoms and hit him with Narcan, saved his life. The next day, he sees him at a park, unconscious, on the ground, saves his life again. Third day, finds him dead.
Jesus.
So in a 48-hour span, he saved this guy's life twice.
Just wasted $5,000.
He overdosed 3 times.
How much is Narcan? Isn't it like a lot of money?
No, well, for me to pick it up, it was actually really inexpensive.
It probably is because it's widely used, so it's less expensive.
Yeah, they're trying to and they're I guess they're handing it out now too. You can, I don't know about Connecticut.
They can buy it en masse, probably. They can probably buy it like cheap, like in bulk, so they can.
There's some states where you can go to like even a fire department or a hospital, or even a pharmacy, and just ask for it. And I guess if you can't pay for it,
that will solve the problem. Like, I mean, fucking idiots. That will solve the problem. Instead of handing out Narcan, when you find this guy fucked up like this, if you have to... Here's the thing. Here's what they should do. If we have to administrate Narcan on you because you're fucking a drug suck, you are put into a fucking home. Like, or you're put into a cage. Like, or not a cage, but like you're... Spend money on mental health areas and take these people away, or lock this guy up for like 30 days immediately, it's to protect them.
Slippery slope.
If you care about protecting people, that's what you do. What the fuck kind of solution is it that you find a guy on a bench all jacked up, he's about to die, you stick him with Narcan or whatever it is, he comes back to life, and then the next day he's dead again? It's like this is not the solution. This isn't like when you're doing heroin. It's not like oops, I tried heroin once and I made a mistake. I almost died. Thank God you saved me. I'll never do that again. That's not what it's like. It's if you're at the point of heroin, there is something really wrong with you. You have a major addiction. You need to be put in a halfway house or a place or like a full-time like lockdown like recovery area. So there should be here's the penance for us having to spend tax dollars to save you. We're going to lock you up to protect you for 30 days and try to recover you. Like, seriously, 30 days.
Yeah. And that's the problem, is that
mental facility
barely works. I mean, the stats on that show that it's...
Yeah, but all those recoveries, it's usually by choice. Like you have to choose to go in there.
And that's the thing too. I mean, you state choice, and that's where you and I slightly differ. You know, because I've seen it so many times firsthand how powerful addiction is.
No, choice to go in the to go into the mental facility.
Yeah, to go into recovery. Yeah, a lot of times it
Fuck
is by
that.
choice.
No, you're going. We use the Narcan on you. You're gonna kill yourself. You're going in the recovery.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. I know people often aren't going to change unless they're willing to change. You have to hit a point where you're like, you know, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not who I was. I need to, you know, better myself. Until people reach that point and choose for themselves, if they get put into recovery by force, it often doesn't work either.
Yeah.
But like you said, there has to be some better solution. You know, and you can go right in. It says right here, naloxone, that's Narcan, is available at Walmart for $20. No questions asked. $17.94 Walmart. You look it up, Narcan, there it is. It's a box. It comes with a 2-dose kit. It's everything you need to reverse a overdose. And it says right here, an overdose death by comparison costs taxpayers about $30,000. The Narcan costs anywhere from $20 to $40 depending on state.
So it's actually the cheaper. That's why they're handing it out. So it's actually cheaper.
Yeah, because then there's no, you know, emergency room, you know, and
I had no idea. I guess I was wrong. But, I mean, I guess it is. I mean, I guess, but it's just like, wow. Here's the solution.
The drug is also being sold at Walgreens. If you can't afford it, there's ways to get it at different like recovery centers and halfway houses. And plus, they're trying to save people's lives, which I get. But it's almost like Plan B. You know, you have people that I was raped or the condom broke or you know we made a mistake and. You know, now I take Plan B to reverse or at least reduce my chances of getting pregnant. You know, I don't want to have that option. But with that being released widely available to the public, it was also like, oh, you don't need to use condoms. You don't need to be smart or use protection because you have a backup. That's why it is Plan B. You know, Plan A went out the window. You didn't care. Now you have Plan B. And even me, with as much compassion as I have for people that do have addictions, releasing the Narcan so widely is kind of like saying, go ahead, do all you want. We'll reverse it. We'll save your life. You know, and it's just, it's got such a stigma against it, I know. But it is like an open invitation saying, go ahead, you can try the harder stuff. There's this. It's not guaranteed to save your life, but at least it's there, you know?
Yeah, and it also makes it hard when, like, because, you know, you want to be cold in a way like, oh, you know, fuck these people and the heroin.
Love, yeah.
But then there's those people that, it's like you got to find the middle ground. Like if you're leaving needles on a park, like that person needs to be I mean, I want to beat you up. That's why I haven't seen I'll go personal with you. That's why I haven't seen my father since Danielle was roughly 6 months old. I was in the hospital very, very sick, and you know, Courtney was with me at the hospital. Yeah.
Or excuse me, my grandmother was with me in the hospital, and Courtney was home, and she found one of my father's heroin needles with underneath Danielle's baby bottles.
Jesus Christ, man.
You know, and that's why my father couldn't be in the house anymore. You know, we had to get rid of him, and I haven't seen him since. And he wasn't in the picture till I turned almost 11 anyways. So, you know, you're not talking, but then there's he was in a high state. He must have heard somebody coming down the stairs, and he went to go stash stuff, but he hid it underneath Danielle's stuff.
That's fucking crazy.
And you're like, oh Jesus, this stuff's in the house, you know, and it's a powerful thing that addiction, you know, ruins lives. But had we gone ahead and said, no, it's okay, we'll work with you. Oh, you're not going to do it again. You can't be naive because then you're putting your family and everybody at risk. Like you said, there has to be a tough love, but you also have to try and find a middle ground.
But there's some people that have been, you know, recovered, so it's worth it when you see those people. Like we know people on the show. I know people on the show that listen to the show that recovered, and you wouldn't even know it now. And it's like, wow, thank God, like you recovered from that. How the hell did that happen? How did you get? So it's like, well, that's really good. Like
I literally just spoke to somebody an hour ago on Twitter and said, wow, that's fantastic that you're doing so well. And I'm greatly proud of you. You know, once you realize you need to make a change, it's difficult. And, you know, for you to do that, it is a feat to overcome. But, you know, as much as there is the mental illness side of it for the addiction, because you have that constant, it's like your body's starving. You know, you can see it where that's all you think about is that drug. You just need to get high one more time. You know, that's the mental aspect that you can't control, you know, the cravings, the physical dependency. But like you said, there is a sense of choice that you can overcome. You see people fight it, and, you know, people aren't weak. So to find that middle ground. And I've said it before, we've seen drug companies create new analgesic pain medications that have no addictive properties in them, but the FDA and others won't approve of them because then there's no need for rehab centers,
Yeah.
Or at least not as much. The biggest cause of death in this country right now is opioid prescription medication. Well, prescription medication in general. But
yeah. Well, because those don't come with any warnings, because I've been given this stuff too. I go to the doctor and they look at me, and most of the time when I go to the doctor now, they're suspicious. They think I'm there for drugs or something, because I don't have drugs, I don't take drugs, whatever. But I come from an area where there's big drug use. So I went in there before, and they're just like, well, we're going to give you oxycodone and like this other thing and this thing. And he's like, so I wrote you a prescription for it. Go down and pick it up and you'll be good. And I looked at him and I was like, okay. I never went to pick it up. I never took the oxy, because I was like, I don't think I need that. I don't think I need that. Why did this guy give this to me? So I never picked it up. And a year later, I went back there and I told her about what was going on with, sometimes I have this anxiety, whatever. She goes, I see that you get prescribed blah, blah, blah. You taking that? And I'm like, no. I go, actually, when he prescribed it, I just thought it was unnecessary and that whatever. And she goes, yeah, you should not, you don't need that. And now when I go there too,
see?
And I tell them something's wrong, they almost don't want to give me stuff. So it's always these extremes. It's like they don't even want to give me this stuff. It's like, why can't you look up like reports on somebody and be like, okay, Joe, or this guy, he's got no history of drug issues, drug abuse, being admitted to a hospital. So we're going to give him this drug.
Yeah, you show no drug-seeking behavior. Exactly.
Right. And then also explain what it can do. There's no education on that. It's just, that other guy was just, here's your shit. Not like, this stuff can be addictive. I can give you the stuff that probably is more effective that's addicting, that could be a problem. Or I can give you this other stuff, which is much lower. We can start there. And there's no
relief, but because there is a place for pain medication.
Yeah.
In today's society. But my neighbor just gave birth, had a C-section, and they sent her home without any pain medication, and she can barely move. She got cut open. She's hurting, but like you said, and she has no history at all of any recreational drug use. It's just how they're doing it nowadays because they're so scared of overdoses and things like that. People that actually need it aren't getting it, and it's unfortunate because it's become such a widespread epidemic at this point that anybody in pain is getting viewed as a drug seeker when, so the people that do need it aren't getting it, and then everybody else is importing it from other countries and overdosing on it. So
then there's still bad doctors. Yeah, so it's, what do you do? So I really think, like, if you really need it and you want it and you need it and you don't have a history, there should be a way for doctors to be able to look up your history. I know that might be somewhat invasive, like police reports, like stuff like that. I don't know how you could get around that, but I mean,
well, no, because they have it now. Where any doctor that I go to, because I went from hospital to hospital, unfortunately, and that brings up red flags. But the hospital I went to, I was coughing up blood. They sent me home, the first time, and you were like, no, you got to go back. You got to get seen.
Yeah,
it's good. I did. I could have died from it, but. Then you go into the next hospital and they're like, oh, weren't you just there? And then finally you get everything transferred over, but they treat you like shit until they figure out what's going on,
Yeah, they don't believe you. It's very weird.
And when I was in the emergency room, they were rude as hell. When I finally got admitted, then they were nice as pie. They have to make sure that you're legitimate because God knows how many cases of people come in. I got back pain,
Right.
And a lot of things you can't prove. If someone has a headache, how do you, yes, they have ways. Is your heart rate elevated? Can they could do some certain tests. But that was my issue for a while too with the head pain. How do you can't look at somebody and be like, oh yeah, they have a headache. Well,
like when I went in with the headache and the neck pain, they were like, look at I love this doctor I got to. I haven't seen her now in probably 8 months, but she looked at me, like stared at me kind of with a look, and I could tell what she was thinking or looking at. And I said to her, I know it's weird and like what I'm telling you is kind of bizarre, but it's really happening. And I don't come in here often. You can look at my chart. I don't like coming into the doctor. I was basically forced in here, and I'm in here. It is real, and it's bothering me. And I'm not just some local druggy guy looking for drugs or something. I got 3 kids. I'm at home. I don't do drugs of any kind, really. I mean, I drink on the weekends. I mean, you can look up all the files on me. I'm not here for that. So I know it's weird, but this is what's happening. Like, it's been going on for a while now. And
once they hear like, oh no, I'm not. Like, I don't want pain medication, or I don't know. Then they treat you differently.
Yeah, then right after that, she snapped into like, All right, well, here's what we're
care
gonna
and
do.
considerate mode. Yeah.
Yeah, and she already was, but I could tell that she was kind of like, because every day they just walk in there. I know they do. I know every day some guy walks in here from around here and is like, and they're all just looking for the same stuff. Like,
I've seen it firsthand where, they go to write somebody a prescription. They're like, oh, we're going to give you, a Vicodin for your back. And he's like, oh, no, actually, I need the Oxycontin because that works. But and then they give him nothing and they send him on his way. But,
Right.
you see the people over and over. And I think I mentioned it a while ago, but one of the first pain management facilities that I was going to was a headache treatment center. And the nurse practitioner there is now arrested. One of the appointments I went to, the DEA was there and the FBI, and it was a whole big thing because she went ahead and she was one of the highest prescribers of a specific medication in the country. And she, in 1 month, made $88,000. There's all these reports online. I'll have to show them to you at some point. It's astounding. But what she was is getting financial kickbacks for prescribing a certain medication from the pharmaceutical company. So she was prescribing a heavy dose narcotic that typically is for end stage cancer patients. And it's like a type of fentanyl spray almost. You spray it on your tongue. So it's like an instant. And it's for cancer patients that can't eat or swallow, or, they're pretty much in a facility where they're going to die. And like, this is the only way to treat them besides intravenously. And she was prescribing this to patients, and she had a few patients die. One of which was a young boy. He was, I think, less than 16. And it was ruled as an accidental overdose, but he didn't overdose in the sense of he took too much. It was the first use of it killed him. So the family got, his autopsy done. They got the investigation to go through, and he had so many interactions noted that he never should have been prescribed this in the first place. Then they raided the facility, and the whole doctor's office got shut down. And the insurance was no longer accepted. There was a nightmare for all the patients that weren't being treated poorly, with other doctors. But it just takes one person. But she was making anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 a month.
Wow.
From the pharmaceutical company. They were paying her to prescribe this to patients that didn't need it. How is that legal? They found a way because they wouldn't pay her directly. They'd send her to dinners and she'd talk about the drug or something, and then they'd pay her high amounts there. But really what they were doing was telling her to prescribe it to patients.
That's fucking crazy, man.
How insane is that? A pharmaceutical company can get away with, through legal loopholes, saying prescribe this to, this many people. Disgusting, but there's so many problems today. I know we've gone down a rabbit hole, but all of this stems back to mental illness, and it's just a lot of things need to be destigmatized. You have to be able to treat people like people. If there's a lot of mental illnesses, I forget who it was the other day was talking about depression. You've seen people like I forget her name, the one Dear Fat People there.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I don't remember
her name. The Matthew Santoro's ex.
Yeah.
She went ahead and she goes ahead and she's like, oh, depression is just that, it's a joke. Get out. You're not depressed. You're overweight, or you're lonely, or it's all in your. It's not all in your head. You're fine. And that's not it. We've all battled depression in some way. Some people can't get out of it. Some people can't escape it.
It goes back to the brain again. Like it's almost like if it's not happening to you, you don't believe it's real. Like I don't believe that in someone's brain they think they're a woman. I don't believe in someone's brain that they have depression. I don't believe in someone's brain. It's like it all starts mentally. And some people it's a choice, because it's like serial killers, right? Some people are like pedophiles or like molesters or something like that. So like some of these people have like a craving for kids or have a craving to kill people, right? So like that's their thing. But like to me, myself, if tomorrow I bump into a guy and we like start yelling at each other and then I kill him with a rock, that was like, sure, there was anger, there was rage, there was a wrong step taken. But if I just, for no reason, like we're just yelling at each other and I were to grab a brick and bash his head, most likely it's 85%, 90% choice. Like I really chose that. Like my brain said, this is right, this is wrong, and I elected wrong and very wrong. That would be a very big choice. Now somebody who is wired like, I feel like a woman, even though I'm a guy. I feel like a woman, even though I'm a guy. I feel like a woman, even though I'm a guy. Everything I do, I'm a woman. I feel I'm a woman. Like, at that point, that's not choice anymore. There is still a little bit of choice to come out, to be comfortable with it, and to acknowledge it better. There is that choice, but mostly that's inside your head. It is your brain and your mindset. For some people,
yeah,
like,
it wasn't premeditated. It wasn't
right.
anything you could anticipate. It was just a reaction to.
That's just how you feel.
Scenario. Yeah.
If you are a guy who wants to kill people with a knife, and you have a craving to murder people with a knife and then hide the bodies under
and that is meditated, and you are thinking it out, and you're plotting. And
no. But here's the thing: that's meditated, but it's not, because it's like that's still in your brain though. Like what I'm saying is choice, right? It's like less of that serial killer's choice to do that. Like it's more that's in their mind.
Oh, I get what you're getting at, yeah.
Right? Like so that's like they're like no matter what they want to kill these people. Like it just like it's not like they elected.
Yeah, they've been obsessing over it. It's a compulsion.
Right, so
drives their being.
That's where the mind is. Like that's how you distinguish more normal people, I think, from anybody else, because you have a choice. Like I'm not going to answer that girl's text message because she looks like she's a fucking teenager. I'm not going to punch that guy out because that would be barbaric or whatever.
Yeah, I could kill him in the process.
But someone's mind who's telling them, like, all the time, like, hurt people, or I want young kids, or things like that. Like, that's or I am not a guy, I am a girl. Like, but that's different. But it's all mental. Everything we've talked about tonight is mental, like, in a way. The drugs, at first, you make the choice. Like, you go, I know I shouldn't pick up that heroin needle, but fuck it, I want to do that, and then you do it there. So that's where your choice is. But then after that, now you're just fucking on drugs, and you become,
now you're ruined. Now you're hardwired and predisposed to those cravings and those unnecessary,
Yeah. Now you're
hauntings.
Addicted. Then you're addicted. Then your choice is warped. Like you're in an addiction at that point.
And that's the thing, that initial choice, and even sometimes the subsequential choices after the initial one, you still have some power. And like you said, so choice is a huge determining factor. And there's even some people that don't have the ability to, and that's a mental illness in itself. They can't rationalize their decisions properly. They can't make choices. They agonize and have full-blown anxiety over making decisions, even everyday decisions like, what am I going to have for dinner? Again, that all comes down to a mental illness or deficit, like you said. So,
well, I'm sure we got to get out of here.
Mental illness needs to be addressed more so. Like you said, there needs to be more education about things, and things need to be, like I said, less stigmatized. If someone does have a mental illness or deficit, they need to not be looked at like, oh, they're crazy. They need to be looked at like, oh, their brain isn't working properly.
Yeah,
they can't help it. They can't help it. They need treatment.
And the scary,
instead of saying, oh, they're crazy.
The scary part of it is, of course, we've been here before with, oh, this person's crazy, lock them up and experiment on them, or lock them up and give them all these drugs and put them in a facility where they can be like raped and molested by the workers there, or tortured by people. So that's the thing is, no matter what the mental illness, if in the future we decide we're going to lock people away in a nice place, like a home, like a Sunny Acres mental institute, and like they can play video games, do everything we all do, but they're kind of, they're monitored, it's a safer environment. If you're to do things like that, it's like, but we just got to make sure that we always are treating people like humans, even if they're there.
What risks does that entail? Like you said before, having like a Hogwarts for, anyone that's transgender or gay, they can go to this school and basically be, I don't want to say protected, but in a welcoming environment. Yeah. But what does that do to their socializing skills?
I'm not saying that's the answer too, because segregating people sucks.
It's certainly, segregation isn't the answer. But I'm saying, what does that do to them going on in later in life? Now all of a sudden they graduate, they're 18. Yeah. They go to college. Well, colleges aren't segregated, so now you have to segregate colleges as well. Or now they go to an office and they're working as part of a job team. They're working as a cashier. How do you handle customers? How do you're not prepared for the rest of life.
You're delaying the inevitable if you send them to those schools.
So that's why to educate everyone, that's what I lost the article now, but that's what the superintendent of the school said. He said, I didn't have these issues 20 and 30 years ago to deal with. I need to be educated on them. And I think that was the best answer anyone can give. Him taking the few days off of school because he knew demonstrations were coming. Yeah. He thought about the best and worst case scenario for the students that would be at the school, and now he's open to full on educating the teachers, the staff, the parents, everybody. And I think that's a huge step in the right direction.
Hopefully, I mean, what those parents said is fucking crazy and horrible. And
it happens to people that aren't even transgender, you know.
Would you want? It's like, would you want people wanting to stab your kid and stuff like that? You are fucked up. Those people that said that are fucked up. Those parents are fucked.
It's a nightmare scenario.
All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you subscribe down below, like, comment, and if you're on Patreon, you got the whole show on Patreon. So, thank you for the support here. Twitters are down. I don't know. Stay tuned for more, I guess. If you want to support me, patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show on Patreon. And we got more for you there, audio downloads and stuff like that, plus the website joecroninshow.net. And my Twitter is down, @RealCronin is down, but @CorruptedPod is suspended for 11 hours. All right, we'll see you later. Oh, for more Joe Dog skits, make sure you're on Instagram.com/Joe Cronin Show. See you.